Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're back with Bretonnia, going to be taking on the foul Norskins. I'm actually playing Turin today, so let's go ahead and take a look at the army compositions. We've got Prophetess, Lore of Life, up in the air, where she's going to be relatively secure from Norsca. Really, the only unit that can threaten her up here is something like the Frostworm, which is not a super common pick in this matchup, although not unheard of. She's got Earthblood, Regrowth, and the Assault of Stone. We've also got a Paladin here with his new anti-large bonus. Just been trying this guy out. Still not completely sold on him, but I think he can be good in the right situation. Speaking of trying things out, I've also got a unit of Royal Pegasus Knights. You don't see these guys too often, and there's a good reason for that. We'll get to their performance in just a minute. But in terms of my infantry composition, Spearmen at Arms with shields in the front, backed up by some polearms, one of which is the Beast Slayer of Bastogne. We've got some Knights of the Realm out to the flanks. One of them is the Regiment of Renowned Knights of the Lion-Hearted, and one unit of Grail Knights in the center. For Turin's army, he's got 3 Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes. Infantry Corps is a mix of Marauders, Marauder Berserkers, and some Marauder Spearmen up front. No big surprise there. He's also got 2 Famir with Grey Weapons, a Famir Balefiend Lord of Shadows, Throg, and a unit of Norscan Ice Wolves. So very strong Norscan army against Bretonnia. Let's go ahead and watch what happens. So you can see I'm going to be pushing forward a little bit. I honestly don't have an answer to these Marauder Horsemen, and right off the bat I can tell you I'm going to regret not bringing archers. I think peasant archers are going to be a very strong pick in this matchup, and I haven't actually brought any here, but let's see how we're going to be able to do. You can see the Marauder Horsemen pulling up and actually going to start throwing their axes at the polearms, which is obviously a better target than throwing at the spears. These guys don't have a missile block chance, but really just trying to bait me into an engagement here. I could just stand and take it, but I don't necessarily want to. So we're going to push forward a little bit here and try and force a favorable engagement. It's going to be tricky because my knights will get cut down by these Famir with Grey Weapons very, very quickly. But yeah, we're going to pull up and just kind of charge. We're gonna pull back my main infantry corps just after Turin issues his charge order, and I thought I had issued a charge order here, but it looks like my Grail Knights, at the last second we do get the charge order off. We're going to just alpha strike those Brutes of the Hound, but unfortunately I'm not able to pull back in time. Melkos Mystifying Miasma comes in, and then Throg's also going to come in and apply that Frostbite. You can see these Knights of the Lion-Hearted got a good charge there, but again, I'm not going to pull them back in time. I thought with the rear charge here with these Pegasus Knights, they'd be able to get rid of these Famir warriors, but you can see they do a little bit of damage and then just nothing. I mean, they're doing a tiny bit here, but I'm trying to toss a regrowth down on these Knights of the Lion-Hearted, which we do get off, so they hopefully will stay in battle here. We've been able to rout off some Marauders, but in the center, those Grail Knights took a ton of damage, which is really bad. You can see, tried to come down here with the Paladin and get on that Famir Balefiend, but Turin very wisely pulling away. We did manage to get the Grail Knights away. We're going to hit them with an Earthblood. But meanwhile over here, I did forget about these Knights of the Realm momentarily, which is really bad. I really needed them to be running a quick rear charge and getting rid of like these pockets of Marauders over on this side. But already the balance power is starting to turn against me. Those Pegasus Knights got wasted by the Famir Warriors with Grey Weapons. Not really surprising, and I'm not able to pull away these Knights of the Lion-Hearted due to the Ice Wolves there, so pretty unfortunate. We will be able to beat the Ice Wolves in melee, but just getting bogged down here is not what I want to do. I need to be ping-ponging around with my cav and trying to cycle charge as much as possible, but at this point things are looking pretty desperate. Throg gets a nice puke into the back of these Beast Slayers of Bastogne, and despite the fact that I get a good charge into these Marauder Horsemen, it's going to take me some time to cut through them, and there's Marauder Spearmen nearby, so hey, it's not the best engagement for the Knights of the Realm, following up quickly with the Famir Warriors Grey Weapons as well, so things are really not looking good for Bretonnia at this point. Another Melkos going off on those Knights of the Lion-Hearted there, and Penumbral Pendulum look like it's going to finish off those Men-at-Arms with polearms there despite the Earthblood trying to keep them on station. But we're able to do a little bit of damage to these Famir with Grey Weapons here, but it's just not enough at the end of the day. The Paladin's trying to help out, but he's taking a lot of damage in return. And yeah, it's just going to be a bad situation all around. You can see the balance power barely clinging to life here. We get caught out by Marauder Spearmen here and a Famir with Grey Weapons due to the dropping attack order there. So very nice play by Turin, kind of escaping with those Berserkers who would have taken a lot of shock damage on the charge. But trying to form up for one last stand here, but there's really not much left. It's, you know, I've pulled back some games pretty far behind as Bretonnia, but there's no way this is coming back. So we're just going to charge in for the lady and try and make a heroic last stand here. These Knights of the Lion-Hearted, despite the Earthblood here, are going to get a mill cost, and we're going to get the Assault of Stone coming down, but unfortunately I pulled back a little bit prematurely, and it's not actually going to end up doing that much damage to the enemy. It actually blows up quite a few of those peasants, but yeah, it's not looking too good. It's going to be a victory for Turin's Norsca, and yeah, this is definitely... Bretonnia got better in the last patch. You know, I think the Paladin change currently helps, or, yeah, it helps a bit, but it's not anything amazing, but yeah, just the way Bretonnia currently is, and they're so one-track, it's kind of easy to predict, and if you have the right counter units, it can be very tricky for Bretonnia to deal with them. Famir with great weapons are definitely one of those counter units. You know, they have magic attacks, armor piercing, anti-large with good melee stats, and heavy armor. That's pretty much a hard counter to all the Grail tier units, so well played to Turin. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. So in terms of a post-breakdown, yeah, the Grail Knights were able to get a little bit of damage done despite, you know, taking all that shock early on. Knights Lion-Hearted also did pretty decently. I'm not too dismayed with their performance there, but the Royal Pegasus Knights, man, they'll do okay. I've been playing around with them a little bit lately. They'll do okay against cavalry. They're pretty decent in the air against big targets like dragons, but on the ground, they can't beat monstrous infantry or single entity monsters to save their life. Like Famir, forget about it. Croxigors, no way. Things like Shaggoths, or like a Necrosphinx, a big single model monster on the ground, is also very hard for them to deal with. For whatever reason, their pathing, it's improved. They can fight stuff in the air now where they'll actually all get in and start doing attack animations, but Pegasus, I think all Pegasus units, and this also goes for Lords and Heroes on Pegasus as well, they need more mass. In particular, Pegasus Knights need a lot more mass. They need more health, and they also, their pathing needs to be a little bit more improved to where they're reliably effective against monstrous infantry and single model monsters, because I think that's really where you struggle a lot with Bretonnia, is dealing with those things. And it used to be in Game 1 that the Royal Pegasus Knights were very good against single model monsters. Like, every single model would connect on the charge, and it would just devastate something like a Shaggoth if you got the charge on them. Nowadays, the models look like they connect on their charge, but it doesn't actually do any damage, so I'm not really sure what is the issue, but it seems that there's still some issue with Royal Pegasus Knights, again, attacking monstrous infantry or single entity monsters. So that in and of itself was a throwaway of, you know, 1,600 points. So if I had that if I cut those Royal Pegasus Knights, I would definitely just grab a bunch of archers, like 4 units of peasant archers, preferably with fire arrows, because they'll be more effective against Throg himself, which is going to be probably the most common pick in this matchup, although you may see Wulfric from time to time, but I do think that Throg with his anti-large AP and Frostbite is kind of the no-brainer in this matchup. So if you take the fire arrows to help deal with Throg, they can also shoot at the Berserkers and, you know, the throwing axes as well. You know, that alone might have been enough to not make it... I'm not going to say I would have won, but it definitely would have made it more even, certainly. It would have been a much closer fight. Even as it is, you know, there were certain pockets that did well. Obviously, the Peasants you kind of expect to get run over, but the Paladin I was kind of underwhelmed with as well. If I were really going all in on the Prophetess, I would just say, okay, if he happens to bring Frostworm, which is not an unheard of pick in this matchup because it does have magic attacks, AP, and that Frostbite, and the Chilling Aura, so it can slow down Cav and other fast attack units like that pretty effectively. Then again, it's a pretty big risk to bring in the air against Bretonnia because they have pretty strong air power. If you can catch it out in the air with the Royal Pegasus Knights, it'll go down, but we're cutting the Royal Pegasus Knights for the sake of the build, so let's actually go into the custom battle screen and talk about things a little bit more in depth here. So I definitely don't think that the Prophetess is the most competitive pick, but she is cheap. You can take her up in the air, and that allows you to go pretty wide with your army. So if we're staying committed to the Prophetess, let's go ahead and just kind of retool that build a little bit here. So we're going to leave the Paladin to the side. The Assault of Stone is nice on paper, but we'll see if we have extra spend for it at the end. We're going to grab some Spearmen at Arms with shields. The Pole Arms I do think still serve a purpose here, so we're going to grab some of them. Let's get the Knights of the Lion-Hearted. We will also take one other Knight of the Realm just because it's a, cheap shot cab option. The Champions of Cornell, I think, can be very good in this matchup also, with their really good combat stats and AP. If you cycle charge a Famir, they'll do a pretty good amount of damage to him, and something like this, with a whole bunch of fire arrows, and then, we still have about 1,300 points left, so you could always grab another unit of cavalry, maybe retool some points here or there a little bit, try and get Grail Knights, a unit of Grail Knights, or maybe you just stick with another unit of Questing Knights, or, you could even just grab more infantry. Maybe a couple Foot Squires wouldn't be a bad idea, since they'll be a little bit better against the infantry that Norsca can bring. But something like this, I think, might be a little bit more optimized to dealing with Norsca. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. I have used a really memey all-cav build in this matchup, but that's something we'll have to take a look at on another day. Stay tuned for more. If you guys do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.